Ramzan Pakistan, Ramzan Pakistan.
Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma ajirni minan nar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ji ayanu. Bakhair ragale, ni hao, chunushumme, washmale. Ohio gozaimasu, guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba. Buna, mucho gracias, swabia, bhalli ke rahe hain. Hosh kyal din. And thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching Ramzan Pakistan alongside my very learned colleague Miss Haja Sati, and I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well. But first things first, hello Haja, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for asking. I'm good. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. And you know, this is something which I was thinking about just yesterday, that every time I ask you how are you doing today, you say I'm doing fine, and then the next question is how are you doing? And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, you know, how am I doing? And I really need to kind of analyze whether am I doing perfectly well or not. But shukr alhamdulillah, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much Hajar for asking. Alhamdulillah, so far so good. I've been doing well, and that's the exact what I hope and pray for everybody out there as well. But while somebody actually asks you that how are you doing, what is that first thing which comes to your mind? Ke yaar, okay, whether am I doing right or not? Because half of the time what I've seen is that whenever you kind of say your salutations, you say your salam to somebody and be like, how are you, sir? And then the next reply is going to be, I'm fine. So it does not really matter whether there's a chaos in their life, whether God forbid if they are suffering, if they are in pain, if they're in trouble. Everybody would always say, I'm doing fine.
Right. I think one should always look for the reason to be grateful and thankful to Allah Almighty, because I think we have got a lot of things which a lot of people don't have it. And what we have, it might be the prayers of others. So, and I want to quote again Allama Iqbal here, and I read his verses that
Yes,
that really you know shook me, and that verse said that इस कदर शौक कि अल्लाह से बरहम है क्या थे मस्जूद व मलाइक क्या ये वही आदम है. So basically human being is complaining to Allah, that basically Muslim is complaining to Allah that you know we have been such a great civilization, and but now we are suffering, and why is that so, Allah? And then there are a lot of what do you call it, entities on the earth like angels and stuff like that, and they are saying you know how much arrogant this human being is, that you know he's complaining to Allah Almighty. And then I felt that you know we are the same entity. Hazrat Adam was the same entity to which all the angels, all the malaik bowed. You know, that was his daraja, that was his status, and you know what are we indulging into it? So I think that there should be always a lot of stuff to be thankful to Allah Ta'ala, and there are a lot of other things that you know you should contemplate upon.
Exactly, and thank you very much for saying that, because this is something which we keep on reiterating as well, ladies and gentlemen, that we really need to be thankful. Does not really matter what sort of a condition you might probably be in your life, you really need to be thankful to Allah Almighty for even having this life as well. And when we start to count the blessings, I don't think that we can even count the blessings Allah has bestowed upon all of us as well. But without any further ado, obviously just yesterday while we were discussing what to discuss, and that too in the program, because every day we make sure that we actually kind of give you something newer to think about, to contemplate upon as well. So ladies and gentlemen, my very wonderful and dear colleague actually came up with, before we kind of introduce the topic, ladies and gentlemen, we need to head out towards a short break. We'll be right back, don't go anywhere. We'll be talking about Ijma and Qiyas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to PT while you're watching Ramzan Pakistan. The name happens to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and with me I have Haja Sati. So Haja, since you opted for the topic Ijma and Qiyas, why don't you go ahead and please share it with our viewers what Ijma or Qiyas means.
Right. So Ijma is the scholarly consensus. There are further two types of Ijma. The Ijma, I perhaps I'm saying it right because I need to refresh my knowledge in that regard. So Ijma, basically there's the two type of Ijma. There's consensus by the whole Ummah, and then there's a scholarly consensus. It does not necessarily
agreement.
Right. It had to be the agreement of the entire Ummah on that.
Yes.
And Qiyas is basically an illogical deduction. And for more, we have a very learned scholar here, Imran Sandhu Saab, who's going to shed some light on that. But before doing on to that, we are going to hear the Naate Maqbool, and that too by Waqar Hussain Saab. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Or
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Wonderful to have you. Please, Sama band dijiye.
Thank you. मैं सुनाता हूँ. करम आज बालाए बाम आ गया है, करम आज बालाए बाम आ गया है, ज़बां पर मोहम्मद का नाम आ गया है, ज़बां पर मोहम्मद का नाम आ गया है, करम आज बालाए। और मजा जब है सरकार,
सुभान अल्लाह।
मजा जब है सरकार, महशर में कह दे वो देखो हमारा गुलाम आ गया है, वो देखो हमारा गुलाम आ गया है, करम आज बालाए। मुझे मिल गई दोनों आलम की शाही, मुझे मिल गई दोनों आलम की शाही, मेरा उनके मंगतों में नाम आ गया है, मेरा उनके मंगतों में नाम आ गया है, करम आज बालाए। और दुरूदों की बारिश है कौनो मकां पर, दुरूदों की बारिश है कौनो मकां पर, के आजम बिया का इमाम आ गया है, के आजम बिया का इमाम आ गया है, करम आज बालाए।
सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह। बहुत अच्छे वकार हुसैन बद्री साहब, एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच समा बांधने के लिए। And now referring back to Imran Sandhu Saab, ladies and gentlemen, where today we're talking about Ijma and Qiyas as well, and that 200
Right.
Islamic.
Can I take a lead here?
Sure, sure, why not? Always, always.
Okay. Imran Sandhu Saab.
I think he's ready already.
Okay, that looks okay. A lot of Western scholars in academia, they allege that the Islamic law or the jurisprudence is not capable of evolution, because all the jurisprudence, all the schools have been completed and there have been no sort of evolution in that. Do you agree with this assertion? What do you have to say in that?
नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली व नुसल्लिमु अला रसूलिहिल करीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. So in Surah Tawbah,
Right.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Wama kana al-mu'minuna liyanfiru kaffa. It's not for all of the mu'mineen to go for struggle, go out for jihad, all of them.
Yeah.
فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ. Why don't you do like this, that some of you stay behind
Okay.
and do tafaqquh fi deen, or
Right.
go ponder into the knowledge that has been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is deen. So why pondering?
Right.
Why going into the depth of knowledge?
Right.
So that uh, Sharia, actually we should understand what is the purpose of Sharia.
Okay.
What is the purpose of the deen? Purpose of the deen is to provide solutions of the circumstances that come one after the other. So as the societies will progress,
Right.
new problems will arise.
Of course.
And our Sharia, the deen of Allah, provides solutions dynamically to those problems.
Okay.
All right.
That does not necessarily mean that the Quran and the Hadith, that is the deen of Allah, and the process of understanding Quran and Hadith
Yep.
is
Right.
static.
Right.
It means that it is a dynamic process through which we provide solutions to the nation. But what we don't do is, we do not change what the process of anything, any ibadah, any aqidah. We are not allowed to change what has been revealed in the text. Otherwise, it is going to become an innovation.
Right. Right.
So this process that you are talking about, the solution is dynamic, but it provides solution that is embedded inside of the Quran and Hadith.
Okay.
And this process of ijma and qiyas
Right.
actually ensures that we do not do innovation, rather we extract the hidden solutions between the lines between Quran and Sunnah through ijma and qiyas.
Exactly.
Right.
So what is ijma and what is qiyas?
And before you sir move on to that as well, because I think that it was a very important question which Ms. Hajra actually posed towards you as well, because unfortunately, I'm very sorry, even though that we have these wonderful techniques to make sure that everybody has a consensus, we as a Muslim Ummah have been unable to do so or achieve that as well. And it has been there, since our religion has been there as well. We're talking about ijma and qiyas. Why is it? Because God forbid, even over here in Pakistan, you see, so obviously there will be a prayer at 125, then there will be a prayer at 135, and there has not been a consensus amongst the Muslim community, and there's not been a consensus amongst the scholars as well. You open up YouTube, you see so many scholars,
Right.
probably passing on derogatory remarks on to other scholars as well. Why do you think that we were so blindfolded and we were unable to take advantage of all of these amazing options available for us?
Have you read that ayah of Quran? And we've heard it many times. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا.
I must have.
Hold on to the rope of Allah and
Tightly.
do not fall apart from each other. So the basic reason that the consensus turns into
Right.
or the difference of opinion turns into firqa
Yeah.
is because we fall apart, we do not hold on to the rope of Allah. And in a hadith, it is taught by the Prophet Messenger. What is the rope of Allah? Rope of Allah is Quran.
True.
And what does Quran say? Quran says, hold on to the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and because his Sunnah is uswa hasana. So there are two things. If we do not follow them, the difference of opinion becomes deep and deep and deep and deeper, and this becomes a reason of become not disuniting, not uniting.
Right.
But the thing is, like I'll come back to the
Sure,
point. What is ijma
And qiyas.
Yeah.
and what is qiyas?
Right.
Ijma is not actually the consensus of the whole every person of the ummah,
The
because it
agreement.
is impossible that every person of this ummah is going to come on the same page. It is impossible. You know, it is practically impossible. 7 billion people, they are not on same page. Human beings, they'll differ.
That's true.
Similarly, ijma is the consensus of the scholars, jumhur. And I did tell, you know, we talked about it. Talked about it. The jumhur is from jamhara. It means those the shining particles of the sand that can reflect upon Quran and Hadith, right? So, in any form of knowledge, when you talk about consensus, you don't talk about general public. You talk about the consensus of that scheme. So, consensus is the consensus of fuqaha of Islam. Coming back to, and what is qiyas? Qiyas is going and pondering into the Sharia, finding a situation and then the reason behind that situation. If these two matches, they match. For example, a thing occurred in the era of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a similar kind of a problem arise. So what will fuqaha do? They are going to equate those two situations and give the solution, the same solution.
And we will certainly build up on that as well, because when we talk about Sir Ijma, I think that, you know, if we are talking about a scholarly consensus, that really needs to be analogically anyways as well. So, you know, that's what I would certainly want to build up on. But ladies and gentlemen, to, you know, eradicate all of these issues, I think what we really want is the intent of all of those scholarly people who are out there as well. And, you know, there is obviously, when we talk about intent, ladies and gentlemen, drives our entire lives as well. You know, it totally kind of gives that image of you to the other people, whether you're willing to work harder or not, whether you're willing to do things for yourself or not, whether you're willing to do things for the betterment of your life and the people around you or not. Which is why we thought that why not share how intentions do really work. So please go ahead, take a look, and when you guys will come back, I will certainly fall back to Imran Sandhu Sahab, where I wanted to know, when we talk about scholarly consensus, rather it needs to be analogically or not. Let's talk about this.
In Islam, purity of intention is the first and basic requirement of every act of worship and every good deed. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Verily, the deeds are by intentions." It means that the value of good depends upon the intention with which it was done. If it is purely for God, it is priceless. If it is to show the world, it is worthless. Ramadan is blessing of Allah that not only detoxifies the human body, but it also cleanses the soul. Following intentions can make it easy for us to achieve our goal to purify our soul in Ramadan. The most important intention to make is to fast for Allah. You're doing it because it's one of the obligatory acts of Islam that Allah has commanded you to do. Allah says, "O you who have obtained faith, fasting is ordained for you as it was ordained for those before you, so that you might remain conscious of God." Make the intention to get closer to Allah. Make certain acts of worship such as offering prayers, reading Quran, and giving charity. It is important for any given action that we analyze our intention, yet this can be difficult. Our intention is known only to ourselves and to God, and we must be able to analyze the deepest recesses of our hearts.
And in addition to that, I certainly believe, you know, that very thing you start to think about, the universe does really kind of have that vibration or rays which comes to you, and it definitely does come true as well. And it's probably because of the power of faith and Iman inside your heart as well, and your belief on Allah as well. But now coming back to, sir, where how Ijma and Qiyas are, you know, there's very thin line while we'll differentiate in between them, and that's consensus or agreement. And we haven't really utilized it for our advantage, for the advantage of the whole Muslim community.
Sweeping statement.
Sorry for bringing this up as well, but I certainly was confused that okay, यार दोनों चीजें एक जैसी हैं तकरीबन.
So there are three levels of consensus. One is the scholarly consensus, and is the and one is the consensus of the society, and one is the consensus of whole of the humanity.
Right.
So you have to have consensus at different levels. So the same rule applies. You want to see what is consensus. You'll see what is the majority opinion.
Okay.
And you can see it happening in in the parliament as well.
Right.
That has
Majority
become a
is
norm.
authority, yeah.
It's an urf now, or it's maroof now.
Right.
What is consensus? Now, you know, the consensus of the society or the humanity is termed as talakki bil qabul.
Talakki bil Kabul.
Yeah, scholars gave their opinion, and talakki bil qabul is the majority of the society adopted, adopted it or agreed to it, and has adopted it. So when we call off scholarly consensus, it is known as ijma. And when people have absorbed that consensus and started to practice it, it is talakki bil qabul. So these are two different processes. Unless or until the scholars of any field do agree, talakki bil qabul is not possible. For example, we have developed a way to create doctors.
Yeah.
Right.
The consensus of doctors is something else, and people agreeing to the branches of medical sciences, for example allopathic, for example homeopathic. Now the talakki bil qabul is almost relative in these branches. Most of the people are actually adopting the modern medical science, and less of them are adopting hikmah or homeopathic. So this is talakki bil qabul. Same thing happens in the branches of Sharia. There are 4 school of thoughts, or 5 school of thoughts. There is also 5 school of thoughts, and people of the world, this 2 billion Muslims have given them, their have absorbed them in a different way. So you will have to go and ponder what is the most consensus school of thought, without naming any school of thought. So this is a normal process, having school of thoughts.
True.
Right.
And these school of thoughts are actually universities.
Right.
We should not consider them as different branches of the deen. They are not different branches of the deen.
Right.
They are universities. People come to those universities.
Ulum al-Deen.
Yeah, they're like universities, I would say. So I would say, and how to not to make them a point of difference of opinion or iftiraq, firqa wariyat, because these universities practices ijma and qiyas. Now there are two basic sources of knowledge. I'm wrapping up. One is that is directly revealed through Allah and His Messenger.
Yes.
Right.
That is wahi. And one is that we have processed that wahi and understood a special relative meaning of that. That is ijma and qiyas. So we should not treat ijma and qiyas free from all errors.
Exactly.
And we should not force that opinion like Quran and Sunnah.
Beautiful, sir.
Beautiful.
Beautiful and wonderful as well. But thank you very much, Sandhu Sahab, for being with us. Thank you very much, Madhi Sahab, for being with us. And tomorrow, when, sir, inshallah, we'll start our conversation, we would certainly want to look upon or kind of talk about Usulul Fiqh and then the 4 sources of Islamic jurisprudence as well, so that we have a clearer vision. And ladies and gentlemen, for everybody who's out there, I think all of these tools are here to kind of make sure that we actually live peacefully, rather than kind of creating difficulties or probably pointing fingers at each other. I think it's best that everybody does their own research. With that, we're actually heading on towards a short break, because research is very important, even if you're looking for a job. Is it? That's something which we will be talking about in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Ramzan, Pakistan.
Ramzan, Pakistan. Ramzan, Pakistan.
Sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He who does not respect elders, does not have mercy on children, does not commend what is good, and does not forbid what is evil, is not one of us.
Third 10 days of Ramadan are days to seek emancipation from hellfire.
اللهم أجرني Save me from the hell's fire.
काम होगा
ए लोगो जो ईमान लाए हो, इताअत करो अल्लाह की और इताअत करो रसूल की और उन लोगों की जो तुम में से साहिब अम्र हों।
रमजान पाकिस्तान रमजान पाकिस्तान
Welcome back, and earlier on we were talking about also jobs, and Shahzad quietly, aptly mentioned, and I do believe, you know, that this 21st century is the century of the information technology, of the information revolution, and the fourth generation revolution. And it has preceded the industrial revolution. So Shahzad, and Pakistan is the fourth largest, you know, what do you call? No, freelancing contributing country, right? And a lot of people, a lot of young people have ventured into this field, and also, you know, our government, our states have realized this, you know, that we need to streamline, you know, this segment, this sector of the economy, so that, you know, we are more into the job creation, and so that, you know, more economic progress can be brought into it. And also, Shahzad, that agriculture, as I mentioned, that has been preceded by the service industry, which is the IT industry, right?
True.
So it's very important, you know, that we have a debate on the IT industry, on the information technology, and so yes, we want
Yeah,
to
and in addition to that, I think I've been kind of vouching for that as well, and I've been making sure that
Right.
people kind of listen to us, and that is that, you know, we've always had this gap in between the, you know, job market and then the academia
Right.
as well. So imagine that, you know, you're going to universities where there's no data available, which shows that, okay, if you're picking up on being a business graduate or an engineering graduate, and we certainly do not have any idea whether what's the requirement. So if the academia and the job market works
Right.
hand in hand, and they collaborate and they come up with, hey, you know
Right.
what, this year around we only need 500, 10,000 or 50,000 students as engineering graduates as well, I think that will make our life easier as well.
And also, Shahzad, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you. There's a very interesting research that
I think
I
I'm
came
getting
across.
used to it now.
Right. Okay, so USAID said that 65% of the school children are going to be employed by the jobs that have to yet to be created, you know,
Yeah.
because the advancement in the IT sector, in the information and technology.
Exactly. And in addition to that, I've already spoken about it as well, that the top 500 Fortune companies these days
Right.
are not looking for degrees, they're looking for a skill set which can actually help them achieve their goals as well. So in today's time, how do we look for job? How do we eradicate unemployment? It's a
Right.
menace which exists within our own country as well, and that too, yeah, very quite high as well. So ladies and
Right.
gentlemen, to talk about this, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who's going to let us know how UK actually kind of, even though that I know a lot of people who are unemployed in UK, but we'll still be focusing on how UK did kind of try to kind of bring the figures lower to a
Right.
level where it was actually kind of affordable for UK as well, for a lot of people for not working. It's a welfare state, ladies and gentlemen. They always pay, you know, one way or the other, even if you're not working. So imagine you will still have a great life if you were in UK and if you were unemployed. Not great, but at least you will be able to live, and that to independently. So very quickly, without any further ado, we are lucky that we've been joined by an economic analyst, columnist, and member of NUJ UK as well. She happens to be a candidate for a councillor as well in the UK, ladies and gentlemen. She is Ms. Sadia Sadat. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. So for somebody who still happens to be a candidate for a councillor,
Yeah.
did you ever look for a job yourself?
To be like a counselor, I think I had like sort of a diverse skill set. And I was always like wondering, like, why do I have like into so many things? Like, I've been writing columns and mostly on the economic front. And then I do work with the UK government, and it's like, it's basically to eradicate the unemployment, and they have like lots of very wonderful schemes to help people get back to their work and stand up on their feet and do something positive in their life, rather than just be sitting there and sitting on the welfare benefits. Yeah, which is
exactly. There are a lot of people, you know, who are doing so as well. But let's not go over there, because today we're talking about, you know, the reasons why there's, you know, a rising trend in unemployment.
So basically, I think if we speak, the unemployment, there are like 3 different types of unemployments: the frictional, the structural, and the cyclical. And then
एक और भी पाकिस्तान में मैंने नहीं काम करना बस.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I think UK government has really put forward, like, they've done a very good job on the demand labor side and also on the supply one. So like on the demand one, they have really reduced on the economical wise, they have reduced the tax rate, the corporate tax rate, which has helped businesses to employ more and more people. And then they have like reduced so if the people are getting more people employed, then they are cutting the corporate tax rates, and then also there are some other benefits to them, and also for the employees as well. A lot of apprenticeship schemes have been started by the UK government, and this is picking up very positively, because a lot of people are actually learning while being on the job. So they're investing tremendously and very heavily in the apprenticeship program, and this is something I think Pakistan should also look towards doing it, because this is it's a very good trend, because people can upskill themselves while being on the job, and then they can learn. Because after the pandemic, we all know that the economics is very dynamic and it's changing rapidly, and you really have to adapt yourself. So I think...
So which is why, you know, what I'm going to ask you over here is, do you think, because you referred to Pakistan, that we really need to kind of come up with our own apprenticeship programs as well, but for that, do you think public-private partnership will actually go hand in hand, or do you think that the government officials need to come up with such schemes in the first place, and then the private organizations can follow?
No, I think this has to come from the government, because this is what the UK government has been doing. So the Conservatives there, they are really pushing a lot of apprenticeship programs, and then they have the licensed bodies which go and talk to the employers and talk about the benefits that they can get, because each apprentice, they're basically paid off by the government. And it's just a benefit for the company itself. They can have them trained or skilled in a field which is relevant to them.
And I like it how you're pushing your political party's agenda from back home as well. But, you know, the sole reason why I asked you this question was that obviously we do have corporate social responsibility over here, and you know, each of the organization, the private organizations, they really need to consider that. So, you know, under that umbrella, I think a lot of apprenticeship programs can be introduced, and a public-private partnership will have a larger scale in order to make sure that we employ more and more people who are useful for the industry.
And also, you know, that, like you mentioned, that the government is supporting them, government is giving them wages in that sense. I think the UK is a developed country. It has more resources as compared to Pakistan.
Quite a lot.
Definitely.
Right. But don't you think, like Shahzad aptly mentioned, that, you know, public-private sector partnership is more of a solution, especially considering the Pakistan's environment in that?
Yeah. Especially, you're probably right in saying it, especially with the current political situation. Nothing is certain, so definitely, so I think in that scenario, if you think about, maybe public-private sector, if they work hand in hand, and then they do something, come up with the ideas to have, like, eradicate the employment.
And, you know, at this point of time, I think that the discussion merely needs to be about, you know, what sort of job market do we have over here, you know, what kind of alumni or probably graduates do we literally require, because as a matter of fact, over here we live in a country where, you know, every job offer which you will get in a newspaper will be somewhat asking you for a 5-year experience, where they want the person to be young as probably 25, and so, you know, we have hands-on experience sort of life over here in Pakistan. So what kind of job opportunities do you think will literally be in line with the people who truly deserve to be at work?
Okay, for this, I will start by I was looking at the global innovation index, and Pakistan has improved a lot. Like it was about 104 something, and now it's less than 100 now. So it has dropped points, and which is essentially because of the work in the IT sector. And this is something which I really believe the children, like even the adults, the youth, can themselves work on it. Like even while being sitting in Pakistan, they can still go on to many websites which they can learn different languages. Python is something which is very, very important, especially with the machine learning and the cloud computing, which is, I think, everybody has to know it. So the data analysis is something which is like, which is gaining a lot of popularity. So people should start learning themselves and upskilling rather than just sitting home. And like you said, they don't want to do anything. So this is something for them.
That's one problem, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the youth should be encouraged to put themselves,
whatever they feel like. And in
yeah.
addition to that, you know, there's one more point which came up to my mind as well, because half of my family lives in UK. You know, so I'm traveling half of the time to UK as well. What I've seen over there is, I think when we talk about unemployment, we talk about unemployment because we're not really considering the people who are working as cleaners over here. Because they're underpaid, they do not have the right amount which they're willing to take away or take back home as well. Now imagine for somebody, if he's working in a fast food chain, they will still be getting paid £9 or £10 an hour, which will give them a good life, and it will secure their life even for the future as well. How do you think that, first of all, we kind of put in place such policies that nobody's underpaid, at least, at least everybody gets paid an amount which is sufficient for them to kind of pass through the month as well, if not very lavishly, but at least the basic needs to be fulfilled, and that will certainly fall under the umbrella of employment, and it will start to do so as well. Do you think that's a better recommendation?
Yes, and this is where I was saying the government should do, because this is something which the government should plan. They should set a minimum wage, just like in UK, they have like a minimum wage.
Yes.
But
we
there's
do
no
have
such
that
thing
in Pakistan also.
Yeah, it's been almost 6 years. I'm still getting paid the same amount. Yeah, so I don't know whether they're going to do it anytime sooner or not.
Yeah, but this is something they really need to work on. Otherwise, like you said, like in the UK, there's also an issue because people, they start thinking that, okay, there's a massive problem over there regarding the benefit system, because people will say that, okay, I'll be getting the same amount of money whether I work or not, and which is something which is not really good, because then you're not upskilling yourself, you're not managing yourself pretty well, and like, you're not gaining your, like if you have any aspirations, you're not going any further than that. You're not improving your lifestyle. You'll just be stuck in the same position.
But it's totally on them, because they have put a full stop to their lives, and they will still be living in a neighborhood where there will be a lot of drug dealers around them, police cars coming in every single day, a single bedroom house. And that's a lot of pressure. If you have managed to go to the UK, please make sure that you've managed to earn yourself a good life as well. Because otherwise, there's no point of living in UK. You should have, in fact, rather you would have had a better life over here back home in Pakistan as well. So talking about all of these languages you were talking about, obviously when we were studying computer sciences, it was all about C++ and all of these languages. How do you interpret today's time that these are the languages which people should learn and will be beneficial in the next 5 or 10 years?
I think the most important language, the C++ is still a mother of all languages, I believe, because if you know it, you can get hang of all the other languages. But the Python is pretty easy, and also in the machine learning, it's very much popular. People can easily learn through them, and then they can upskill themselves very well. The main three things that I could say that is either you go into the programming side of it.
Cloud computing.
Because the cloud computing is increasing massively, honestly, and all over the world it is.
It's a big thing now.
Yeah. And then secondly, if you either can go onto the data analysis side, because data analyst is something which is gaining a lot of popularity, even in the field of the bio innovation and all those stuff. So
it's data which will actually get us money in years to come as well. And
we are the products now.
Yeah, this is something which we are experiencing as of now as well. So people who will actually have hands on data, ladies and gentlemen, will be the people you
That's
will
a new
refer to as
currency,
the
right.
richest as well.
Right.
Because, you know, people have been investing in properties over here, but I think people literally now need to start investing in NFTs and probably metaverse as well. But, you know, please make sure that you do your own research. And this is something which, from where I have started this segment, how important do you think it is for anybody to do their research if they're looking for a job?
It's very, very important. They need to do something which they feel like doing it, not just they've been pushed to do. Because if you do not have a right aptitude for it, you will gain nothing out of it.
True.
Like I was saying, that there's the third important field also is social media, and something which is also gaining a lot of popularity. Because earlier it used to be a very, very brief subject, and then there was no such thing like paid advertisement, paid social media at all. If I talk about like in 2000 and before that time, there wasn't any such things. The Google was all free.
So we even have to pay for Spotify Premium these days so that we do not get any ads in between.
Yeah. But then nowadays, with the changing times, Google has changed a lot, and then the social media platform has changed tremendously. Now the people earlier, like there wasn't any like keywords or all those stuff. The links and the queries and everything, but now it is very much in demand. So I think basically we really have to see where the demand is and push yourself for those ones rather than just wasting your time.
Thank you very much for saying that, and thank you very much for being with us, Ms. Sadia Sahil. It was wonderful to be in conversation with you. All the very best for you to be the counselor, and thank you very much for joining us over here on our special transmission, which we refer to as Ramzan Pakistan. But very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people have a lot of confusion related to unemployment. I only will share 3 things, not worldly advice, and that is that first of all, you really need to have firm belief in Allah Almighty. Make sure that your parents pray for you every single day, and they will. Obviously, they're your parents, but please make sure that you're nicer to them. And number 3, never say no to anything. If any job comes to you, may it be supplying Muslim showers for that matter, please make sure that you don't say no. Put in the hard work, make sure that you do it. Never say no to any job which comes your way. Make sure you do your research and try pushing yourself, try adapting to the changing environment, and it will always help you earn some good bread for yourself.
It's a very good point. Sorry, I just wanted to add one thing. You really need to think positively. You never think that if you want to achieve something, you always dream of it, and the dreams do come true.
Inshallah. And they will. I mean,
you never undersell yourself. You always think high and aim for big.
Wow, that's wonderful. So always think high and aim for big, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we're actually going to kind of wrap up our transmission for today. Thank you very much, Hajar, for being a wonderful and a very learned colleague as well. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be further talking about an ijma and chaos as well. Make sure that you tune in and make sure that you stay tuned as well. Thank you very much. Ramzan Pakistan. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Ramzan Pakistan, Ramzan